Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We've seen a lot of different changes when it comes to the general Warzone TTK, especially with the 300 health increase. And now that that's live across both Rebirth and Caldera, I wanted to break down 5 weapons that still have incredibly fast TTKs, some of which you might not have realized have incredibly fast TTKs. So as we break them all down today, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, so feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. Also, quick reminder, right now my G Fuel discount code WhosImmortal is actually boosted to get you 30% off your entire order. So if you want to grab anything at all from the G Fuel site, now is a fantastic time to do so. Link will be down in the description below. So just for reference, all the stats that I'm pulling out here today are from true game data, so they are tested, they are confirmed there. First up, we've got the Fennec from MW, a super slept on weapon that actually has a very competitive TTK. This has a sub 650 millisecond through about 1920 meters, which is pretty solid for an SMG before it has that initial drop off. This is actually very competitive with some of the other top weapons, things like the Armaguerra, the MP40, so on and so forth. So if you ever want to throw it back to an MW weapon, the Fennec here, actually a really good choice. Now initially, you know, most of the time on MW weapons we're going for the monolithic suppressor, but in the case of the Fennec we actually have the deadfall barrel. This is super similar to like the monolithic integral over on the MP5, where it's a built-in suppressor but also gives you better range, control, and velocity, so it's a 2-for-1 there essentially. I also love running the tac laser on here for that better ADS and also a slightly better aiming stability. The downside of the Fennec is that it doesn't have a great damage per mag. You only have 40 rounds max, and it's got a very fast fire rate, so you are burning through ammo like no tomorrow, so you definitely got to keep that in mind. But when you're hitting shots, the thing will fry. I'm also going for the no stock option here to get back some better mobility. Then lastly, you can sort of mess around. I know a lot of players like to run something like a Merc foregrip for some better control, also better hip fire. You could also run something like the Stippy Grippy, get a better ADS and a better sprint to fire that way as well. A couple of options on this one for sure, but this thing surprisingly good still. Now of course, when we're talking crazy TTKs, we can't ignore the Type 100, which currently has about the best TTK up close that you could possibly get. We're talking a sub 580 millisecond TTK through 21 meters. So faster than the Fennec, faster than pretty much every other SMG in the game. This thing's crazy. The only problem is its recoil is not super great. Also, its mag size is a little bit frustrating in certain situations, but that does not take away from how fast this thing kills. Higher skill players can definitely take advantage of this thing. First up, we're going for recoil booster. I also still like running the rapid barrel. I've seen some players going for the light barrel actually recently, just to have a really fast like strafe speed and whatnot with this build. That would also work. It'd be a pretty fun one to try out, I'd say. For the optic, I like the basic slate here just for that clean, simple red dot. The T100 stock here is pretty clutch. Better horizontal control, which is the main problem with this gun, also helps out with your ADS speed a little bit. Definitely want to run hand stop here for that better control. For the best TTK possible, the 30 Russian short 36 round mags are the go-to. 48's not bad, and obviously you get more ammo here, which is pretty ideal, but if you want the best TTK possible, the Russian short is the way to go. Lengthened or subsonic or frangible for the ammo here, pretty standard for any of the subs. Rear grip is actually hatched for the better horizontal control yet again. Perk 1, gung ho, instant sprint to fire, then perk 2, quick or fully loaded, whichever one you prefer. Like I said, very few things are going to beat this thing in a one-on-one fight up close. Now recently we saw a pretty significant NZ41 buff, which actually makes this very good for long range. Through the first 30, 40, 50 meters, it's very competitive with other things like the BAR and the STG, but past 50 meters it's actually very good. It has a sub 900 millisecond TTK at 50 meters, which when you compare that versus a lot of the other rifles in the game, it's better. It's actually a very competitive TTK, even though it sounds kind of slow compared to like some of the subs up close, right? But this thing, ton of fun to use. Not something that's been used a ton in the past because it sucked, but these buffs have definitely made it way better. So first up, we want to go for the MX silencer here for that better control and to keep us off the map and to give us better range. For the barrel here, super easy choice. Orb weaver, better control, better velocity. You'll love to see that. Whatever optic you're comfortable with, whether it's the 2.5 times, the 3 to 6, whatever you think you're going to land the most shots with, use that because that's what's important. For the stock, I'm actually going for padded, better control during sustained fire. You'll love to see that. I like hand stop on here as well, pretty much the standard for the under barrels. For the magazine, we're going for the Sakura 50 round mags, better control, so it's going to be a laser beam, also better movement speed and a better fire rate to help out that TTK. Definitely want to run lengthened here. You could do polymer or you could do hatched yet again because there is some horizontal bounce here. So if you go in with polymer and you're not super comfortable with the horizontal movement, try hatched and see how it works for you. Perk 1, Honestly, none of these are particularly incredible for a long-range rifle. Brace doesn't really matter too much for that initial recoil control. Frenzy is all right for what it is, but I think any of these aren't really all that fantastic. I'd probably go for Frenzy for the lesser of all evils. Kind of sucks we have some bad perk selections there, but then we're also going for fully loaded to maximize our ammo here. Definitely worth trying out if you haven't used this, which I assume is most players, because like I said, this thing up until about 2 weeks ago, not worth it. Now, very worth it. Now, you just heard me mention the bar as having one of those more competitive TTKs, especially up through 50 meters. Absolutely the case here. Then after its first damage drop off, also right there with things like the NZ and also the STG. This thing has very minimal recoil, but also great damage. So you're going to land shots consistently. I love this thing recently. It's one of my favorite weapons in the game, without a doubt. Here we're going for a pretty similar setup. MX silencer. We also want to run the largest barrel in this case, which is the 30-inch for the better control and velocity. As far as the optic goes, I actually really like the 3-6 here because with the little recoil, you can actually zoom into 6 times and there's still like no bounce. It's so easy to kill players over range. For the stock, I'm actually going for the wire for the better mobility, basically. While this is not a super aggressive rifle, this does help out some, and you don't need these other stocks because it's just so easy to use as is. For the underbarrel, going for hand stop yet again. Clouser 40 round mags here is a clutch part of this setup for that better control. This will help out with that TTK a bit as well. Lengthened and polymer per usual. No changes there. Perk 1, I'm going for hard scope, better control while you're ADS, and then perk 2, as always, is going to be fully loaded. We've talked about this setup before, it's still a beast. And then lastly, we got a bit of a surprise maybe to a few of you, the Oden. Now, there's a lot of asterisks with this gun. It has arguably the best ranged TTK for a rifle. It also has absolutely awful mobility. It is so slow to ADS, it's so slow to move around, and it's got decent recoil. So like most players who are just, you know, casually playing this game, maybe don't have super great control or don't like super slow weapons, might not flock towards this. But if you're a high skilled player, you can definitely take advantage of this. We're looking at a sub 800 millisecond TTK at 81 meters. Absolutely absurd, right? So I mean, this thing, it's hard to use, but man, if you're good with it, you will fry. The key part of that 81 meters before that drop off is the Colossus suppressor here. You could use monolithic, but your range is not going to be nearly as good. It's going to slow you down a ton, but man, does it give you absolutely absurd range. We're also going to go for the 810 barrel here, again slowing you down, but that range factor is just absolutely absurd. Going for the VOK 3 times optic here. Definitely want to go for something like the Commando foregrip, even the Merc foregrip for some better control. Then also the 30 round mags. You got a slower fire rate, but even the 30 is kind of pushing it with this current meta, so you don't want to have to be reloading too often. Luckily, with that slower rate of fire, it's not terrible, but it is not the most convenient. But man, this thing, it's a special gun. Not used much for a good reason, but those who can use it are going to reap the rewards, right? That said, those are 5 of the fastest TTK guns in Warzone right now after the health updates. That's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.